today I'm glad to talk about one of my favorite topics. And even our CEO, Brad, he knows this is my favorite topic. This is my favorite, one of my favorite trainings because it talks about cash flow, right? Cash flow gives you the ability to do what you want to achieve for yourself, for your family, for your business. So are you excited to talk about cash flow today? So I'm going to go through, this is advanced training. So we'll talk about cash flow in a different way. And I know a lot of you, when you see a 30,000 foot level of cash flow, when you see it in the presentation, you see personal income, you see business income. But today we're going to break it down a little bit. Okay, we're going to break it down. We're still going to keep it simple. But one of the things that you want to really understand about your business and your goals is cash flow. So today we're going to talk about infinite cash flow. Okay, here's what I do believe in. I believe that we have one of the best, if not the best, compensation out there when it comes to financial services. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. And along the way, I'm going to show you, why we have an amazing compensation, which leads to cash flow. Okay. So let me start with this. All right. So let's talk about the infinite cash flow system. Okay. This is what you have when you're an associate of OIC. Okay. This system is available to you as an entrepreneur, as your own business. Okay. And this is what I believe in. The infinite cash flow system is designed to give you a lifetime active and passive income. If you want not just active income, but also passive and also lifetime, something that you can count on week in, week out. So since I've been into OIC building the business, this is what I love about the business. I see my lifetime income. It's nice to have financial products where you start saving today and maybe 20, 30 years later, you build a lifetime income in financial products. But, for some of you here who want that, to start having a lifetime income today, okay, pay very, very close attention to, this morning's training. Take a lot of notes and we're going to go over it. Okay. So I'm going to go over some key points here, and I'm going to switch from the presentation and we're going to do some examples as well so we can break it down. Okay. So first thing, let's talk about the temporary compensation, temporary cash flow. We say temporary and I'll tell you why. Okay. So we have, if there's temporary, there's also permanent. So your temporary compensation is your training associate, and director contract. So if you join OIC, you normally start with a 40% contract, which is a training associate. Okay. That's a training associate. An associate, once you get promoted into 3, 3, and 8, okay, you do your 3, 3, and 8, or you do it just purely on sales. You can do that as well. Okay, you move to 50%. Now, the third level is a director contract. It's 60%. Okay, 60% of your personal sales. Business director contract is 70%. But the three levels that are temporary are TA, associate, and director. Okay, so before we go through that, let's talk about how you get paid. Okay, how do you generate that cash flow? So here's the formula. Target points times your contract times the product grid times the advance, if there's any advance, that equals cash flow. Okay, and this is based on our Infinite Company associate compensation policy in our back office. If you want more detail on that, okay, you can actually go check that out. But I want to show you today. So let me give you an example. So what does that mean? So target points. Okay, let's do a quick example. Okay, target points. So it's target times your contract times the product grid times the advance, if there's any. And then this is your cash flow. This is what you get paid a week after business is paid. Okay, so let's do an example. So let's do an IUL. So if you, let's say, help a family, let's say save $250 a month, so that's times 12, that's 3,000. Okay, that's a simple formula, but you still have to go to the actual illustration. Okay, there are times we're not going to go over that right now, but I just want to make sure that you actually look at the target points of the policy you're actually submitting. So, but let's use 3,000 as an example. So 3,000 is the target points times your contract. So let's say you have a 50% contract, okay, times the product grid. On the NLG IUL, it's 100% grid times the advance. So if your client is just paying monthly premiums, you have a maximum of 75% advance. Okay, so let's add that up. Okay, if you have somebody who pays annually in full, there's no advance. Okay, why is it an advance? Because the client has only paid one monthly premium. Let's say in this example, $250. So why do you get the full commission? Right? So you're just being advanced by the company 75% of your anticipated commission for the year. Okay, so in this case, 3,000 times 50% times 100%, which is 1,500 times 0.75. That is what? 1,125. Okay, so now when do you get the 25%? Okay, you're going to get that on the 10th, 11th, and 12th month, that the client will continue to actually pay the premiums. So what is that? So that's your 3,000 times 0.5 times 0.25. So that's about $375, left, divided by 3. So you're gonna get paid another 125, 125, 125 on the 12th month. Okay, so that's how you get your actual full commission plus 125, 125, 125 of $1,500. That's your annual commission. But on the first month, if you have an advance, that's what you cash flow. Okay, so that's how you actually get paid. Okay, so that's how you cash flow. Now, just a few things here. Okay, if you look at if you actually look at some keynotes here for IULs, there's, if you go to the back office, there's different product grids for National Life Group, different companies, Mutual of Omaha. Okay, so our IULs are term 20, term 30. Most of them are on 100% grid. Okay, so there's only 2 term policies on National Life Group. They're on an 80% grid. They're at term 10 and 15%. Okay, annuities. How do you calculate the target points of annuities? Okay, premium times 6.25%. So let's use that as another example. So let's just say you actually have, so let's say you have an annuity and the premium is 100,000. Say you roll over $100,000. So let's multiply that by, I'm sorry. So 100,000 is the premium. Okay. How do you get the target points? So National Life Group product grid is 6.25%. So that means that's 6,250 target points. Okay, so now once you get the 6,250 target points, so let's use this same formula now. So 6,250 times your contract. Okay, now we multiply it by so we've already multiplied that by the 6.25 percent. Okay, so it's going to be 100% on the advance, your advance full commission, because the 100% of the premium was paid. On annuities, you only get paid on the premium that's actually paid. So if the entire 100,000 was already paid in the policy, okay, so you get this whole 6,250 times your contract, and there's no advance there. So what's your cash flow here? 6,250 times 0.5 or 50%. Your cash flow here is 3,125. Okay, so that's how you calculate the annuity. Okay, now let's go back here. Okay, so just some keynotes there. Okay, if you go to the back office, like I said, you're going to see a lot of the product grids. Okay, you'll see the different product grids there, and you can actually refer to those grids so you actually know. Now, one key thing I want to let you know when it comes to the product grids, okay, when you're talking to other agents, when you're trying to recruit different agents out there, okay, some will tell you that, look, I get a 100% commission. Okay, all right, so that's your 100% commission, and I know I get that for IULs. Okay, now a lot of other companies, this is how they get you. Okay, a lot of other companies, especially the ones that say they have very high commissions, you want to look at their product grid. Okay, so let's just say for IULs, there's actually companies out there that say, well, my commission compensation with my company, let's just say is let's just say, if 100% is highest, I'm already on an 80% commission. So what do you make on the IUL? Well, I make 80% of target points. That's inaccurate. Okay, there's a lot of companies out there that they also have a target grid, okay, product grid that they don't even know. One of the very popular companies out there that say they have a very high commission, okay, and I did this with another agent that we were trying to recruit, and now she's actually one of our business directors. It's Charlotte. She actually showed me when we were trying to recruit her, we actually looked at her product grid, okay, and her product grid was actually only 66%. Okay, so what does that mean? If the target premium on an IUL, let's say 3,000, okay, and they say they have an 80% commission, they don't know, they're still going to multiply that by 66%. And most of them have a 75% advance as well. Okay. This is a big deal here. So if you really look at this, 80% times 66%, that's really, this one here is really only 52.8%. It's not 80. Okay. So one keynote I wanna share with you, especially when you're recruiting out there, and they say that they have a high comp, and so, some are not very upfront with and teaching that they actually don't have 100% grit. Okay, so for a majority of our products, we actually have 100% grit. Okay, so let's go to overrides. So one way to, if you look at this, okay, you make cash flow based on your personal sales and joint work sales. Now, if you're an associate, you also have overrides. Okay, we have what we call our temporary overrides. Okay, so, and a temporary is a term that I use. Okay, and it's an accepted term, and you'll understand why. Okay, so if you're a training associate and you recruit a training associate, how much do you override the associate? 0, because you have the same contract. But if you move up as an associate and you have your recruits as training associates, you override them 10%, because the difference between your contract, which is 50% as an associate, and a TA is 10%. So you actually override whatever the spread is. We call it the spread, the difference. Okay, and this is why we call it a business income, because how do business owners make money? You're given a contract, right? Whatever you make. And after you pay everyone else in your business, maybe your employees, everyone else who you need to pay. Once everyone else is paid, what do you make? The difference. That's your income. That's your business income. In our business, or in your business, it's the same thing. So if your business gets paid 50%, okay, if you close a business yourself, you have nobody to pay. That's you, 50%. But if you have training associates in your business and they're paid the 40%, what's left? 10%. So that's what your business income is. That's your override. Okay, so now what happens when your associate becomes an associate as well? Okay, how much do you override? 0. It's called being flanked. Okay, it's called being flanked when your recruit moves up to your same level. Okay, or even a higher level. How much do you override? 0. Okay, so same concept. Director, which is a 60% contract, to an associate, the spread is 10%. Director, if you're a director and you have a direct training associate under you, you make 20%. Okay, so why is that? Okay, because that's why we call it a temporary override. You can still be flanked if you have the same contract. So let me kind of draw that out for you. Okay, so let's just say that this is you. Okay, let's say this is you, and now you have an associate contract, and you have your recruit here, training associate. You do your 3, 3, and 8. Okay, so you have a 50% contract. Okay, now you have 3 associates who have 40% contract, 40%, and 40%. Okay, now let's say this DA does 5,000 points. This DA does 5,000 points as well. This DA does 5,000 points. Okay, so how much is that? That's 5K, 5K, 5K. That's a total of 15,000 points. So what is your spread between your training associates? Your spread is 10%. So times 10%, you make $1,500 in overrides. Okay, so that's your override. Now, what happens if you also have a TA here who's also a TA? A TA here who's also a TA, okay? And this other guy does 5K. This other guy does 5K, okay? How much more do you override? You still override this whole thing. So this right here is already 15K plus another 10K. Okay, so your total here now is 25K times 10% override. Now you make $2,500 in override. Okay, that's the override system. But remember, when this DA gets promoted to an associate, now you get flanked. Okay, there's no spread left because you're now in the same contract. Okay, so same thing with a director. If you're 60, if you're 60 and whoever your direct is, you override that whether 10% or actually 20%. Okay, so that's how the overrides actually work. Now, if you look at this, say, well, I don't want to be flanked. I don't want to. If you don't want to be flanked, you want to have the permanent override, right? So let's talk about the permanent compensation, which is the BD contract. Okay, so in a BD contract, okay, you make money from your personal sales, your BD base shop override, and then your generational override. Okay, and that totals to 100% compensation. Okay, so now some think that I'm only getting 70%. No, if you're a BD, you're getting 100%. So let's break that down. So let's start with this. Focus on the top. Okay, so now once you're an actual business director, okay, so let's look at a business director and let's look at your base shop. So you hear this a lot of times, we say, here a BD base shop. A BD base shop is once you're a BD, everybody in your team that is not a BD yet is part of your base shop. Okay, that's your team. Okay, so let's look at this. So now you're a BD, you have a 70% contract. Okay, so let's just say you have an associate here. This associate and his team, so an associate does 3, 3, and 8. So it's associate and his whole team. Okay, let's say this whole team right here, does 20,000 points. So, but this associate has a 50% contract. So what is your BD base shop override here? Between 70 and 50, okay, that is 20%. Okay, so if this right here, they do 20K times 20%, okay, so what is 20K times 20%? That's $4,000 of BD base shop override. Okay, what if you had more associates? Okay, or training associates? What if you continue to recruit? What if you have somebody who's a training associate here, and this training associate who's a 30% contract, I'm sorry, a 40% contract, okay? This training associate, okay, does 10K. What's your spread? 30%. So 10K, 30%, So 10K times 30%, that's $3,000. That's your override. This is what you call a BD, base shop override. Okay. So what if you had more associates? Okay. In our business, it's a lot of associates doing, something. So maybe you have another direct associate here. Okay. Maybe you have another direct associate here. So whatever that spread is, that's what you actually override. Okay. So that's what you call a BD base shop override. Now, why is this a permanent override or permanent contract we call? Let's look at this. Once you're a BD, everybody in your team, you will override. Okay. So if they're an associate, you override them. You got a 20% spread. If they're a training associate, you have a 30% spread. So what if right here, some BDs also have what we call a director? And you know what's great about having a director? Sure, you can have a 10% spread. Some say, well, it's only 10%. With a TA, I have a 40% spread. I'm sorry, 30% spread. But, with a TA, you're going to do a little bit more work because they're brand new. You're going to train them. You're going to spend a little bit more time because they're just learning our system. What about a director? A director may already have associates, already building a team. So let's say this whole director team, okay, does about, 50,000 points altogether. The director's personal associate, and, training associates here and there. This is still all part of your team, but all under the director. So 50K times 10% override, that's $5,000. So if you look at this, just within this team here, you're overriding your associate, you're overriding different, training associates. Just with this, small team here, this is 4, that's 7. That's a total of $12,000 override in 1 month. So that's why we call it permanent, because there's no recruit. Once you're a BD, there's no recruit that you're not going to override. If you're not a BD yet, you could be flanked. Okay. So, why, why is that great? Now, it doesn't stop there. Well, you say, well, Christian, you said you're not going to be flanked. What happens if this associate, because now, like a lot of you here, you're associates, you say, well, I want to be a BD. I don't want to be an associate anymore. I don't want to be a TA anymore. I don't want to be a director anymore, because I've had a lot of recruits. I didn't know they could flank me, right? Well, what's your next step? Become a BD. So what happens when this guy becomes a BD? This director becomes a BD. Now, you both have the same contract of 70%. Well, you say, well, I have no more spread. There's no more spread there, right? But OIC doesn't stop there. So this is the reason why, let's go back here. There's actually what we call our generational overrides, which is part of the permanent overrides. Okay. So let's look at this here. First generation BD, 14%. Your second generation BD, okay, is 6%. Third is 4%. Fourth is 3%. Fifth generation is 2%. And sixth is 1%. So how does that work? Okay, let's break that down. So now you're a BD. Okay, now you have a base shop. Okay, you override your base shop, you continue to recruit, you continue to build a team. But now you have a direct BD. And this direct BD has their own team. Okay, they have at least 10 licensed people. They've got associates on their team. So, you have a pretty big structure there, right? So this is your direct BD, and you also have your own team. So out of this BD, okay, BD to BD, you're direct. This is what we call your first generation BD. So whatever this BD does, so let's say this BD does, let's just say 50,000. Slow month. 50,000 that month. So first generation is 14%. So 50,000 times 14%, $7,000. Is that okay? If you have one direct BD and you still have your base shop, you still do your personal sales, and now you have a direct BD, running their own team, and you override them $7,000 because they did 50K in 1 month. And every month, you're going to continue to override them. Now, what happens when this BD also promotes another BD? So let's say one of these associates becomes a BD. That becomes your second generation, 6%. So let's say this BD does the same thing. This BD, they have their own team. They do 50K, 6%. 3,000. So now you have 3,000. Now, what about this BD over this BD? This BD over this BD. This BD's, your first generation BD here has a direct BD. That's a first generation for this BD over this BD. Now they make 50,000, right? So that's 14% for this BD from this direct. So this BD makes $7,000. First generation, second generation, third generation, and so on and so forth, up to the 6th generation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up to the 6th generation of BDs, okay, you override all your BDs. And usually, this is a deep leg right here. Okay. So this is 14%. This is 6%. This is 4. This is 3. This is 2. This one more. This is 1%. What is the total of 14, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1? If you add all that up,
30.
plus you on your base shop is 70%. This here is 30%. Your base shop is 70%. So if you add all that up,
30.
100% of greatness.
Indeed.
that's 100%. So once you're a BD and you develop other leaders, okay, the compensation that OIC gives out is actually 100%. Okay, there's a little more later I'm gonna share with you. There's
Well, I
actually
can't take no more than that, Chris. I'm
I
getting,
was just gonna say it's more.
I'm getting
There's
drunk, Chris.
more.
I can't take no more.
Absolutely. Doesn't end there.
Stop it. Stop
No.
it.
So you get paid
Happy I came early.
100%. Okay, So that's what we call the generational override. Okay, and as long as business is being submitted, you continue to make money. So that's what you call your permanent override. So if I ask you, would you want a temporary compensation or a permanent compensation?
Whole life, whole life.
Permanent.
Oh,
Permanent, Alex.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, okay?
That
So,
was one BD.
and this is one BD, this is one leg. So understanding this, when you understand this, okay, there's really 3 types of cash flow in OIC, okay? The first one is what we call your active cash flow. It's when you close a sale, personal, based on your contract, or you also have what we call your trainer sales, right? When somebody, let's say in your base shop, wants to do a, training with you, hey, train me. Okay, I have a prospect, I have a client, you do 50-50. Okay, so you do 50-50 with that, associate. Okay, so it's active income because you're working on it. What's passive income? Okay, training sales and overrides. Overrides, you didn't put on that actual sale, you didn't put direct effort. And training sales. What's a training sale? Training sale, I consider a passive income. Is, let's say can you get passive income already right now? So overrides are passive income. But even if you're brand new, let me tell you here, if you are brand new, you want some kind of passive income already, put prospects in front of your trainer. You're going to observe, you're going to watch, you're going to help follow up, but really, who's doing the sale? You're learning from the best trainer. You're sitting back, you're taking notes. I consider that as passive income because you're not writing the policy, but at the same time, you're actually learning. Okay. But third is the lifetime income. Here's what lifetime income is. If you develop leaders, direct business directors, executive business directors, you have full-timers, and you reach executive level EBD CEO. Why is an EBD and CEO a big deal? If you become a EBD, okay, this is you. Let's say you become, now you understand becoming a BD. What happens when you become an EBD? You have a BD here, you have a BD here, you have a BD here. Let's just say everybody does 50K. Being very conservative. So you have 3 direct BDs. And that's all 14%. So what is 14%? 150,000 times 14%.
41,000.
70,
How much?
I got 21,000.
21,000.
21,000. Is that a good income as an EBD if you've got 3 BDs? Now, what if you develop EBDs as well? Well, a CEO has 6 direct. Double that. 300K times 14%. That's 42,000. What if you develop an EBD here, EBD here, EBD here? What is that? What is going to happen? BD, BD, BD. It keeps going. You keep developing leaders. What happens here? And that's why sometimes you say, well, it's only 6%. It goes down. No, because when you go down to 6, there's going to be more BDs at that level. So if you look at the structure here, if this does 150K, these do 150K as well. These do 150K. That's 150, 300, that's 450. So you have this plus 450K times 6%, because you have 3 EBDs direct under you. What is 6% of 450K?
27,000.
27,000.
27,000.
37,000.
27.
27.
27. So what is 27,000 times 21,000 plus 21,000?
48,000.
Because you develop yourself as a leader of leaders. That's what a leader of leaders is. Okay, so those are the 3 types of cash flow. So if you want to develop lifetime income, you develop leaders. You know, BD is the first step. Hit EBD, become CEO, develop more EBDs and CEOs. Okay, going wide versus going deep. Okay, what does going wide versus going deep mean? Okay, you can, going wide increases your cash flow. Going deep builds your security. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, so this is you. Some say, do I keep recruiting? So let's say you're a leader, you're a BD. Okay, if you have a lot of people direct to you because you keep recruiting, okay, this is what we call cash flow. Why? Because the closer they are to you, let's say these are BDs, you override them 14%. If you go deep, is it okay to go deep? You say, well, if I go deep, then 6%, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you calculate this, you make less cash flow, but you have security. Why? Do you think that if you have a leg like this, do you think that this guy will quit? If this guy quits, this BD becomes direct to you, becomes 14%. So that's why if, you know, a BD says, hey, you know what? I have this whole leg and I quit. What do you say?
Thank you.
Let me explain to you what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
actually talking about. That means that this whole leg becomes direct to me and I just make more money.
Yeah.
And you just gave up all that override.
Mhm.
And then what does that BD say? Oh, I was just kidding.
Right.
No,
Encourage
I
them
was
to
kidding,
understand
you know.
the big picture.
So you think this will quit? No. You can retain all these people. But you have one who doesn't have anybody. You have recruits who don't have any recruits. They can quit tomorrow. They don't lose anything. So going wide is great for cash flow. Going deep is great for security. So which one do you pick?
Both.
Great answer. Okay, we're almost done. So I'm going to wrap up with this concept, okay? The 6 ways to really generate cash flow, okay? Your personal and joint work sales. You get your first year income. Second, we didn't talk about this, we didn't have time, but a residual income. 1.5 to 2% from the 2nd year to the 9th year. Okay, there's still residual income on the policies as long as they stay in force. Okay, that's great, right? So you're just, the more policies that you actually have, it just continues. Okay, joint work, training, trainer sales. Okay, if you do joint work, if you build a team and you train your team to actually how to make a sale, okay, you generate cash flow with that. They may not be your personal appointments, BD base shop overrides, generational overrides. And lastly, this is the bonus. There's an extra 2% bonus. Okay, there's a 2% bonus. Remember, we said 100%. There's an extra 2% bonus if you hit the minimum qualification. You know, if you hit 30,000 points okay, in 1 month, you get an extra 2% bonus from your base shop. Right? That's just from OYC, just for hitting that number. All right, so that's 6 ways to actually generate the actual cash flow. So for a lot of you here, okay, what is the best contract?
BD.
Director. BD.
BD.
So I know a lot of you have a lot of reasons to become a BD. You want to be a leader, you want to develop a team, you want to be successful. But today we just talked about, the infinite cash flow. So I hope you add this to one of your reasons why you want to become BD. So today is the last day of the month. And, you keep running. You keep going after it. You keep going after it until you hit it. We have a lot of BDs who tried 1 month, they didn't get it. You go 2nd month, but why do you quit? If you see the compensation, my question is this enough reason for you to keep going, to keep recruiting, to keep building, to keep helping families, right? To keep field training your team, to keep following up with people and never give up on people. Because if you see the OYC infinite cash flow, this is designed to build you a lifetime income that keeps on growing and growing, and lifetime active and passive income. So that is our infinite cash flow. Okay.